Hello everyone. One of the most played chess openings is d4 and c4. This is so-called the Queen's Gambit. And after the Queen's Gambit, there are many stuff and many defenses for black, many setups for black. In this series, Master the Queen's Gambit, we will discuss it all and you will have very good knowledge how to play this very rich, strategical, nice opening. First of all, why is the Queen's Gambit? This is very important. Why is the move c4? Haven't you asked yourself that? I will answer it. After, for example, knight f6. Now, if you don't play c4 and if you play, first of all, let's go back. Now, after d4, white is threatening e4, right? Threatening to have and to control the full center. Great. So, if you go knight f6 to stop this, which is one of the most played reply against d4, then if white did not use the c pawn and played something like knight c3, fighting for the center, then after ideas like d5 now, you will feel you don't have that much of pressure. You wish your pawn is here to challenge the d5 pawn, and if the d5 pawn moved away, then you have the chance to play e4. By the way, with proper defenses, black should be fine, but our task is to make his life kind of suffering. So in this first episode, we will start talking about d4, d5, c4, e6, what's so-called the Queen's Gambit declined, and this is one of the most solid chess opening ever. How to play against it? That's what we will talk about in this first episode of our series, Master the Queen's Gambit, Part 1, Queen's Gambit declined. So we will have a general plan. By the way, anything is mentioned here will be in a study on Lichess. So I will leave the link in the description so you might have a look after watching this video. So after d4, d5, c4, e6, we go knight c3. And after knight f6, the most played move, I recommend here c takes d5, which is actually one of the most played move. Why I recommend c d5 now? Because this delete many of black's options. For example, if you go knight f3 or something, then there's always ideas like dc4 openings, or for example Ragozin opening with bishop b4. Many defenses black will have after knight f3. Knight bd7, by the way, is a very interesting option. So after c d5, e d5, and now we go bishop g5. Wait a second. Bro, there is knight takes d5. First of all, knight d5 is not a move that you need to know what to do against, as you have simply the center. But I recommend this idea like e4 takes, and after c5 you do have now two options. Either you go rook b1 to stop this check to simplify the position, or you allow that, it's fine. Knight f3, cd, bishop b4 check, you go bishop d2, and after taking, castling, you improve the bishop, you castle, you bring your rooks to the game, rook fe1, rook ad1, you have no problem whatsoever. The bishop can go back. At some moment you can go e5 or d5, and white is completely fine and black is under huge pressure. So after cd5, ed5, bishop g5 we go. We pin this knight, bishop e7 to get rid of that pin. And now, very interesting idea, we go e3. By the way, one of the main ideas for white here, just to remember in order to have a very good understanding of this structure, is not to allow this bishop to go out easily. What do I mean? Like, especially this diagonal, yeah? Especially this diagonal. Now in this position, after we go bishop g5, this move is a mistake. Why? Because we could take bishop takes f6 simply, and after queen takes f6, you lose the pawn, knight takes d5. So you cannot actually go for knight d5, or sorry, for bishop f5. Or g takes f6, this is a very bad pawn structure, and white is completely better. So after bishop g5, black says, okay, I go bishop e7, and now white can prevent bishop f5 with queen c2, but it's still not a threat, because after e3, if you go now bishop f5 again and again, I can take, you take, and then double attack. Queen b3, attacking here and attacking there. So after e3, your opponent castling, now you could go bishop d3 actually, and that's prevented. But maybe ideas like, for example, early on, ideas like c6, say c6 for example, it's one of the ideas. Now black has a threat of bishop f5. So remember this bishop cannot come here easily. We go queen c2. This is very important knowledge in this type of structure. And usually the fight is against this bishop. So after bishop g5, bishop e7 is the most normal played move. We go e3. We don't allow bishop f5 because of queen b3 with bishop f6. So castling, and now we control this diagonal bishop f3. By the way, always bishop g4, you do have ideas like h3 g4 later on, or f3 g4. It's usually not a good place for the bishop here. So after c6, now we go queen c2. We have a threat, which is bishop takes f6 followed by bishop takes h7. So to stop that, knight bd7, probably the most played move and the most effective move, just to develop the knight and support the knight. So now in this position, I recommend knight ge2. Why do I recommend this move? Because it's the tougher move here for black to meet. Why? Mainly because white has two main plans in this position, and that's what we will talk about. We do have the plan of long castling, followed by h3, g4, f4, g5, h5, etc. Pawn storm on the queen side or on the king side. By the way, black is not going to sit watching. He will have some counter attack as well. So this is kind of a crazy game, and you increase your chance to win. But in the meantime, you increase your chance to lose. That's why we recommend another option as well, which is the short castling. My recommendation is to try both. Don't say like, no, I want to do this. No, I want to do that. No, both. Play both. Your chess understanding in this structure, in this opening, will increase. So the idea of short castling is to go for f3, e4. For example, if black do nothing or does nothing, rook b8, f3, move the rook away, e4, you go back, now e5, you go back with your knight, whatever. Like, for example, say this is possible. Well, I mean, either we exchange the bishops or not. We focus mainly on the pawn structure. We do have the idea of f4 followed by f5. And if you manage, remember this, if you manage to have this structure, white is completely winning regardless of what the engine is going to say. Because after f5, you do have f6, you do have e6. This is something no human can fight against. Great. Enough with explanation. Now let's see these ideas in action. First, we will see the idea of long castling. It's a game between Topalov and Gonzalez. c4, it's a different, you might see different move order, but we will focus about our move order d4, c4. Bishop g5, bishop b7, e3 castling, bishop d3, c6, knight ge2. Maybe I do recommend the queen c2 because, I mean, in a blitz game or in a bullet game or in a rapid game or even in a classical game, your opponent might not pay attention and say, okay, let's improve. But no, you cannot let's improve. After bishop f6, bishop f6, bishop h7, you are losing now, my friend as black. And believe me, it happens even with very strong players. So start with queen c2 better, but anyways, Topalov played knight ge2, knight bd7, and now queen c2. After queen c2, rook e8, and Topalov went on to play long castling. After long castling, as we said, the idea is to attack on the king side using the pawns. And after knight f8, we do have no time to waste. h3. We want to start our attack as soon as possible. Gonzalez tried to make this attack not that strong by simplifying some of the pieces, but after bishop takes e7, queen takes e7, bishop takes e4, d takes e4, yes, some pieces are exchanged, but now new weakness appeared and the attack is still alive. Like g4, very interesting idea, followed by knight g3 and attacking on e4, very strong attack, and maybe on f5, and then rook d g1. f5 is played, and should I take and bring your bishop to the game? No. Rook h to g, rook d to g1. I am going to bring all my pieces to the king side to attack. After that, bishop e6, black played in order to improve the bishop. G takes f5, opening the g file. Bishop takes knight g3, attacking the bishop and pressuring the e4 square more. Bishop g6 again h4 to make use of the rook to annoy the bishop away of the e4 pawn. h6, knight ge2. Now this bishop is under fire. Knight f4 to be coming. Maneuvering. Knight f4, bishop f3. Actually, this bishop here seems good. And it's protected by a pawn, but actually it's not that much of effective in the game and cannot improve, cannot like have a main role here. So just watching, rook h3, rook g3 is coming, after queen d7, rook g3 attacking on g7 twice, rook e7 trying to protect, and now in this position, Topalov said it's fine, my knight is not playing that much. I mean, he's attacking a square that's protected with the other bishop, so how about improving that guy? How? Knight b1. Queen e8, knight d2. keeping the pressure here and adding more option to the arsenals like knight takes f3 and being a pawn up, or maybe knight f3 whenever the time comes. So queen f7 is played, attacking on a2. No, I am not going to allow any counters. Queen f6, now the pawn is about to be captured. Knight h5 first, attacking here, attacking there, attacking here, everywhere. Queen takes h4, knight takes g7, and after knight g7, actually knight f5 can be a Brie move in this position, because that will be a fork between these two guys, as well as a discovery against the king. The game will be, as I said, in the Lichess database or in the Lichess study, so you can check it and analyze it even deeper. But the point of the game is to show you the middle game and the end game ideas behind the plans that we discussed earlier. So this is actually for the long castling plan. Now we will see a short castling one, which is which we talked about earlier. d5 takes bishop g5. This is the game between 𝒂𝒆𝒏'𝒔 and 𝒁𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒔 26-48. c6 e3, bishop e7. By the way, you might ask, wait a second, 𝒂𝒆𝒏𝒔 here allowed bishop f5. Yes, he allowed bishop f5, but for this idea, which is interesting, queen f3. I mean, here you have two ideas. Either you go queen c2 to stop bishop f5 at all, or you go a3, and after bishop f5, you go simply queen to f3, and after bishop g6, takes, and this is a risk-free end game for, or queenless middle game for white. Because of the structure, black has to be super accurate. So after e3, bishop e7 is played, and now after bishop d3, knight bd7, knight g2 e2, castling, and queen c2. After queen c2, rook e8, improving the rook, castling short, and knight f8 in order to improve the other bishop, which is the classical plan of the Queen's Gambit declined. And now the idea of short castling, as we discussed earlier, f3, e4, and again, if we managed, again, this is I need to address, I need to repeat. After I achieve e5, if I achieve e5 followed by f4, white is completely winning. So after f3, bishop e6 is played, and now rook a to d1. Okay, wait a second. Why not e4 in this position? It's kind of early to play that, because after e4 now maybe ideas like takes knight g4 is there, because now the bishop is under fire. There's knight e3 in the air, so there are some stuff. That's why usually and normally they play rook a to d1 to support the d4 spot. Rook c8, king to h1, and after king h1, knight g6, now a3, again prophylactic moves on the queen side. Sometimes like after e4, de, maybe the a2 pawn will be hanging. Knight d7, you wanted to exchange pieces, but our plan is to have e4, e5. So if we could avoid exchanging the pieces, that will be great. 𝒂𝒆𝒏𝒔 here played a very interesting move, bishop f4, saying that if you take here, then there's bishop takes h7 ideas. a6, bishop g3. Why bishop g3? Because I wanted to go e4. Maybe sometimes bishop to f2. c5 happens, and e4 just came on time. And because my rook opposing your queen, maybe opening the position will be not in your favor. Knight f6, and as we talked about, e5 followed by what? f4, and now white is completely winning. f5 is coming, and a piece will be down. Trying for c4, bishop f5, knight df6, bishop h3, again and again, f5. You take on h3, you double my pawns, doesn't really matter. After g takes h3, f5 is coming, f6, e6, etc, etc. Knight h8, what type of chess this? But who's playing black? Is he amateur player? Like 600 rating? No, not 600 rating, not 60 rating. It's 2600. You know, it's a super grandmaster. But now f5, he's just playing like a child. Why? Because this is a very strong strategy. h6, knight g3, improving the knight, bringing the queen to the attack. And after rook d7, knight h5 now, f6 probably is coming, e6 now a very dangerous passer. What is this knight doing here? This is completely losing. He sacked a piece, but in vain. I mean, after taking everything, rook g1 check, queen f5. Now the threat is rook takes g6, queen takes g6, queen takes e6, and the king in the middle of the street, and this position is completely losing for black. Lastly, I will show you an idea which is actually a mixture between the long castling and the short castling. What do you mean? Akopian Vladimir playing with white pieces against Bernd, 2100 almost rated player. So c4, e6, knight c3, knight f6, takes, bishop g5, bishop e7, e3, c6, and now what's the move? Queen c2 or bishop d3, both works. Castling, bishop d3, knight bd7, knight g2, rook e8. We have seen this idea, bro. Okay, wait a second. After long castling, knight f8, again h3, we want to attack very fast with g4 ideas. b6, g4, a5, and now knight g3. Why knight g3 with the g pawn is here? Because whenever I would like to go to f5 and you take, I have the option to take with the g pawn and opening the g file against your king, my opponent, my dear opponent. So now after knight g3, bishop a6 Bernd played, bishop takes a6, rook takes a6, and now simply knight f5. What a strong knight. And this knight actually reminds me of the Spanish and Italian knight that went to f5 like this way. Anyhow, after knight f5, bishop to b4, now knight e2. Bishop b4 is a very interesting move, like trying to take and knight e4, etc. But now knight e2. And after knight e6, bishop h4, because the bishop was under fire, rook a7, king b1, prophylactic move, rook c7. And now the plan of short castling appears. And here I want to talk about a very strategical, important concept. Usually they said, every attack on the side must be countered by attack in the center. I mean, most of us know this idea, but we don't know the origin of why is that. Why is that? Because the play in the center has the most effective value on chess. If you wanted to really attack in the center. If you want really to make a plan, a very serious one, center related one. So after rook c7, here Akopian played f3. What is the idea of f3? e4, e5, f4, f5. Bishop f8 doesn't work. e4, g6, e5. And now, I mean, you can imagine and you cannot imagine. Like after g takes f6, I do believe bishop f6 is winning, but imagine this very interesting idea, like g takes f6, attacking the knight, attacking here, opening the g5. This is actually a torturing. It's not a game of chess, it's a game of torturing here. So after that, black tried g5, bishop g3, knight d7. Why is g5? Why all of these weaknesses like provoked and forced? Because the play in the center was so effective that causes some weaknesses on the side. After knight d7, now h4, bishop g7, h takes g5, knight takes g5, bishop h4, threatening f4. Probably you cannot do without f6, this is the only move. But now bishop takes g5, and after bishop takes g5, his opponent actually resigned. One of the ideas that if you take f takes g5, then there's knight takes g7, and the queen and the rook is attacking on h7, and this position is completely lost for Bernd, and Akopian just win like against 2100 without, I mean, effortlessly, to be honest. Like, okay, some calculations here and there, but it was very easy calculation. And it's like, because when you have a very strategical advantage and you know how to play the strategical plans in the position, then the calculation there won't be that tough, that difficult. So this is the first episode of our series, Master the Queen's Gambit. I hope you find it useful. Again, it's there on the on Lichess, on a study. You can improve it, you can work on it even more. But this is actually, I don't want to say enough, but I wanted to say it's a very good to enrich your chess understanding about the Queen's Gambit and plans and ideas there. I do believe out of 10 games you play with the Queen's Gambit, you might use these plans and you might use the information in this video 5 to 6 to 7 maybe times. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to watch the full series. Thank you. And the full series will be on your left if you're not following from the beginning, which is mostly you are not, because we are just new on YouTube, but we're coming.